You get the ticket for US Sport Festival? Your friend exclaimed. You motioned her to keep her voice down and sipped your miso soup before gently placing it back down into your tray. Aren't those like really hard to get? One of your other friends asked. You find yourself laughing lightly at that. Like your friend mentioned, it's something that's very difficult to obtain. Before there were quirks, sports fans would be obsessed over the Olympic Games. When quirks became part of the world, the US Sport Festival became the most watched sporting event and surpassed the Olympic Games. You had managed to miraculously score a ticket to the US Sports Festival. This was a popular event where billions of people would stop whatever they were doing to watch or even watch while doing their work. Well, it's one of the biggest events in Japan, so it's no surprise. It was really hard to obtain, and at this very moment, you were really glad that you decided to buy it in the moment it was being sold online. What's more, you promised Todoroki that you'd be here to watch him. You have been dating him for a year or so, being classmates in middle school. It was really surprising to know that LOFI quiet Todoroki actually liked you. The two of you happened to be paired up for countless group projects, were in the same class for 3 years straight, and often sat nearby each other. Your relationship with him was quite slow, but you really loved it. I guess having a boyfriend who studies in UA make it easier. Your friend teased you, giving you a nudge. You lightly punched her shoulder. Hey, that doesn't have to do anything with me getting the tickets, you exclaimed, keeping your tone in a reasonable volume to not disturb the people around you. When the day actually came, you sent a text to your boyfriend to inform him that you'll be watching at the stands. Your parent told you to be careful when you left the house, and you understood why you should be. There were a lot of people, like a huge sea of people. It feels like you're inside the commute during rush hours. As much as you hated cramped space, you had to grow used to this because you paid for it and you weren't going to miss your boyfriend's big day. The moment you got your seat, you let out a sigh of relief and placed your bag on your lap. You never really had the passion to become a hero like your boyfriend and were content admiring them from a distance. You weren't blessed with a quirk like Todoroki's, which was hero material. But you still wanted to help people like heroes do, and you chose to study to be a doctor. You looked at your phone before the event started and saw that Todoroki replied to your message with a simple, "I'll see you after the match." Watching the upcoming generation of hero battle their heart out and showcasing the quirk had you sitting at the edge of his seat. That was so like him. Most of the students from the hero department had made it to the fighting tournament. You knew that your boyfriend had issue with his quirk and his father, and you can't help but pray that he will be just fine. Honestly, you almost felt your heart stop at Todoroki's and Midoriya's match. The stage was forward to the match from the battle, and it was delayed until they fixed the stage. Poor Midoriya had hurt himself so badly in that frightening battle. As a doctor in training, you were able to tell whether it was broke his arms and that he definitely needs surgery. You hope that boy will be just fine. On the other hand, Todoroki looked a bit sad and you wish you can go comfort him. He's not only fighting with these people, but also himself. The final would probably be the second most terrifying thing you would witness today. The boy your boyfriend was against, Bakugo, looked like a strong person. You had been watching him closely on the other matches and can tell. You watched as Bakugo clawed out of the mass of ice by using explosions. They were both strong, but you could tell that Bakugo has the slight edge over Todoroki. If he had used his fire, he could have turned the situation around. But you could see it in his eyes. He was unsure, and he looked ready to give up. You finally found your voice at that moment. "Don't lose, Shouto!" You were the only person in the stand screaming. Your throat burned, and you could feel everyone's gaze on you, but you didn't care. Todoroki's eyes met yours for the first time throughout the whole festival. His eyes widened a fraction of a second, and he seemed to start igniting his flames. You couldn't see him as you were too busy catching your breath. By the end of the battle, Bakugo had emerged as the victor. You were nowhere sad or disappointed. You were glad that he had heard you and hoped that he was okay. When the award ceremony ended, everyone began to leave, but you stayed by the entrance, clutching into your backpack. You looked at your phone again and saw that Todoroki had told you he will pick you up by the entrance. You put on your backpack and waited patiently. The moment you saw his red-white hair, you jumped onto him, which earned a grunt from the male. You held his hands in your own. Hey, are you okay? The last fight was amazing. I'm so proud of you. You did... But did you get your one traded? You asked, examining his handsome face. You cupped his cheeks and squished them together. Todoroki knows that you're worried about him. You always had been the one patching up his bruise. Todoroki gave you a nod. Yeah, I'm okay. Oh? Hey, you're the girl who was cheering Todoroki at the stand when he was fighting Bakugo. Man, you're so lucky. You already have fans. Guess this is what being handsome and strong is like. Todoroki had turned also to see his classmate slowly leaving the stadium too. You quickly hid behind your boyfriend, suddenly embarrassed that you had people watching you. A few seconds passed by, and before you knew it, you were surrounded by the student of Class 1A. You had never been this close with such amazing people before. Of course, let's not talk about your lovely boyfriend. It was quite embarrassing how they remembered you from that one little incident during the sport festival. You were about to protest and introduce yourself properly as his girlfriend. Hey Todoroki, who's this girl? A girl, you recalled her name was Ashido, was next to you. Her closeness made you squeak in surprise and cling on to Todoroki even more. Hey Ashido, you're scaring her. You should learn not to step into people's comfort zone so casually. It was Kirishima who told the pink-haired girl to back off, and you were grateful for that. Is she your friend, Todoroki? Hey, introduce us! Hey, nice to meet you. What's your name? You were overwhelmed. They all seemed to be very nice and friendly, but having a number of people around you and asking you questions at the same time made your head spin. At this point, you couldn't even remember what was the question. Todoroki slipped his hand into yours, gently squeezing it to calm you down. This is my girlfriend. There was a moment of silence before a collective gasp was heard. Girlfriend? Nice to meet you. I'm from Sakura's Medical Academy. You bowed and stood next to Todoroki. The atmosphere was silent and you were feeling a bit nervous because everyone still had their eyes on you. Something you weren't really used to. You expected them to be a bit quieter this time, but they weren't. Everyone seems to be pretty amazed that you were going to such a prestigious school and aiming to become a doctor. Please give me some time with them. I promise that I will be walking her. I promise them that I will be walking them home. Todoroki intervened. You felt he tugged your hand and pulled you along with him. His classmates said goodbyes, giving the two of you small waves. Some of them seemed to be jealous of how smooth Todoroki was, especially the short student who was muttering to himself. Thanks for coming all the way here, Todoroki said, as you both walked hand in hand. It's not a big deal. I just thought you needed some, encouragement. You smiled gently at him. There were a lot of things he wanted to tell you. The reason why he held back in the finals, why he decided not to use his flames to win the festival. These were the things that he has never told you before. What if you think that he was being ridiculous? It was a sensitive topic to Todoroki. You had accepted him without knowing his past, what happened with his family, and the main reason he has never actually talked about his own family. You glanced over at him, only to see that he seemed to be struggling to say something. Shouto. Your voice snapped him out of his thought. You don't have to force yourself. You always knew what to say. You always knew what was going on with him, without him having to voice it out loud. You were such an understanding, kind and loving person. You wonders if he actually deserves you or not. For a moment, his eyes softened at you and you could see the love in his eyes. Thank you. He smiled gently. When you returned the smile and told him you loved him, you knew that he was worthy of your love.
약속의 지금이 죽어도 가사가